All right, welcome to another week of the Coaches Show. Once again, joined by head coach Brent Hoelting and the voice of the Greenbacks, Austin McNorton. Thanks for joining me, boys.
Yeah.
Big win last week over Hugoton. Long road trip out west, but came away with the 44-7 win and thought we looked pretty good. What were the overall thoughts of the game?
Yeah, I thought we looked – anytime you can score 38.5, I know you're nitpicking a little bit, and the kids would tell you I'm probably a little bit of a perfectionist at times on stuff like that. But I thought we got to get off the ball better, got to be more physical and hold blocks. I didn't think we held them long enough a bunch the other night. But I really was happy with our passing game. I thought we threw the ball outside of the one pick, and that was towards the end of half. But I thought we threw the ball really, really well. The catch Jared made in the corner was a sensational catch. Great ball by Carson. So things that we need to work on. We know we got to get better, but, I was happy overall.
Did you think coming into the season that when you established this new offense that you would be saying at this point now with only 2 games left that, man, we do have a pretty good passing attack? Did you expect that?
I thought that it would be easier to pass this year because, we don't have the complicated reads. We're not progressed, have a bunch of routes that we read progressions, maybe just 1 or 2. And I think the nature of this offense means they suck up and you're open, more naturally. But that being said, I think Carson and Max have done a really good job of putting the ball where it needs to be. A big thing is making sure we make our read quick enough and getting the ball out quick enough because I think we've had people open every time. Just the simple nature of the offense means you're going to be aggressive and overplay the run sometimes.
Yeah, some of those stats on those runs, you had 90 yards passing. You talked a little bit about that one, 360 yards, 361 rushing. And really that rushing game got established early, on that first drive. It looked like Enoch ended up breaking one, but even before that, it was kind of that march down the field, do what we needed to do against Cheney or what we tried, just those big games, getting that run game established early and often and set the tone early. And I thought you guys did that really well.
Well, I think it's important for our kids to know sometimes, and we've been talking this week at practice that, we've hit a lot of long plays this year. But you're not always going to hit the home runs. Sometimes those can be fool's gold. One of the things we've really worked on in practice this week is bouncing out. We talk about there's a certain guy every play we want to grab the back of his jersey, follow, and then cut off once we see our lane. And I thought we got a little impatient with that the other night. We're getting ahead of those a little bit. And then bouncing when the first sign of, maybe this isn't open, instead of trusting it. And, we talk about this offense is big on trust. And when you trust it, then those big plays happen. But when you're trying to make them happen by bouncing outside, you get those losses, which I thought we did a little bit against Cheney too, that puts us behind the sticks. I thought Hugoton the first drive, even if we're not breaking off the big plays, if we can get in 3rd and 2s every time, I feel pretty good that we're going to convert, the next 2 downs. And so I think that's really important for us, 1st and 2nd down, getting a 3rd and manageable where we have any play we want to run in the playbook. And I thought overall we did that, except for when we had penalties, we were in 3rd and short all night if we got to 3rd down.
Yeah, 6 penalties for a total of 50 yards. How do you clean that up and address that?
Well, not going to say too much, but there's a couple that were pretty rough. Going back on film.
Yeah.
I don't. Can you get fined from a podcast? Is that?
I don't know.
Let's just say they saw something I didn't on a couple.
I think Cody and I will agree.
I think we called it out a few times in the booth there too.
Yeah, no, I have the benefit of going back on film, but and replaying it several times. But there are a couple I don't know quite what we were looking at. But I think big one is discipline snap counts. We got to be able to mix up snap counts. Teams are starting to pull pretty aggressively to blitz, run a lot of switches inside on us to try to mess up our timing and try to mess up our I think they've realized that if they go straight up every time, we're going to get in a rhythm and we're going to start chunking you. So they're trying to move guys all around, switch them, turn, have a guy slant in and out. And when you do that, a lot of times is when you jump off sides if you're the defense, but we can't get them to jump off sides if we're jumping off sides. So I think we've really focused on that this week. And then other than that, keeping our hands inside, keeping our thumbs up, just simple coaching point stuff.
At what point in the game, or maybe it's something you're looking at in film, are you saying, okay, our run game could be pretty effective tonight? Or is it something you're saying, drive 1, drive 2?
We're saying that Mondays.
Okay.
I mean, that's who we are. Our run game has to be effective. I mean, that's who we are. That's our identity. we tell everybody, we're not going to, if we lined up our whole team in a 100-yard dash with the other team, we're not going to win a ton of them.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We've got really solid kids. They work really hard. We got some kids that can make some plays. But I think it's really important for us to understand that no matter what they give us, we got to be able to run the ball. And when we run, that sets up the pass. I think our kids see that with the way our offense is set up. We ran 7-on-7 today. It doesn't always work real well running 7-on-7. Our scout team even does a good job. When they know we're throwing, it's hard. But when they don't know we're throwing, when we mix in all the runs with it and play action, makes it a lot tougher to defend. So everything for us starts with establishing the run. I mean, we have to establish the run. And then when they're sucking up so bad, that's when we loosen them up with the pass and take a shot.
Yeah, loosen them up with a pass, like a jump pass that we've never seen before. You think 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, and I've said it all season long, you get that type of yardage, and that's Enoch territory. Well, you need 1 yard, and then you pull a Pete Carroll at the 1-yard line and decide to throw the ball. And I'm thinking, where did the jump pass come from?
That was, like I told you last Friday night, that was I don't sleep a whole lot during football season, and usually I keep a notepad by my bed. And because sometimes in the middle of the night I'll wake up with something, or I'll just be sitting there in the middle of the night thinking about stuff we can do. Well, what do they do? They're playing this, they're doing this on the goal line. How do I counteract that? What do we got to do? Do we need to change our block? And that was, hey, they're sucking up on the goal line. I went back and I thought it, and so then I went back and watched some film of our goal line. I just pulled up a huddle and watched some film. Yeah, they're playing 11 dudes in the box, and they're bringing everyone downhill because they know we're running. So we'll run bop, which is our motion over the weak side, and we've always ran ISO. That's the only play we'd ran on it so far this year. So I'm telling myself, if I'm a coach, hey, when they do that, you got to pull the trigger. They're running ISO right downhill at you. So Grant's right there. We're like, it's a short release. Grant's 6'4" or so. We'll release him to the back of the end zone and just run that little Tebow jump pass. And so that's what we did.
Are some of your most creative plays you've come up with as a head coach late at night like that in those situations and throughout your entire coaching career?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's been like one of the craziest ones that you've come up with?
Man, we had a couple double passes.
Oh my goodness.
Hook and ladder from the middle of the field, on a slant. Instead of the hook and ladder outside, run a slant and bring the crosser the other way. Yeah, I mean, double passes, reverse pass. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
How many of those late night wake up, go to the sketch pad plays, then do you go back to sleep and wake up again and think, I'm glad I slept that one. Put a little sleep on
there's
that
some.
one.
There's
It's no, that one's not making it to practice today. That one was a little wild.
There's some I draw it up and I'm like, okay, wait, I don't know why I thought that was going to work because it doesn't look good, especially with what they run. What am I thinking? We're not going to run that. So, yeah, sometimes I do that in a game too. I think sometimes we'll run it in practice and I'll think it looks good on paper and we'll run it. And I'm like, nope, we're not running that in a game because we're not comfortable with it. We don't run it well. We haven't been successful with it. And if we're not successful in practice, we're not going to run it in a game.
Right. So second 2+ hour road trip this season. We got another one next week. What have you learned or adjusted as far as travel wise that seemed to have the kids a little more comfortable coming off the bus last week?
I think, when we've talked, I think part of Mission Valley was the lateness with
there was a lot of uncertainty with that.
You pull up, it's out in the middle of nowhere. I think even then though, I honestly think, and I know this is me sounding like a millennial or something, but man, it's really hard no matter how much we tell ourselves to get up for a game without any music or anything before the game. It's just, I think it's intrinsic. These kids, you've had it for so long. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any music before that game until like 5 minutes before the game. So I think all of that contributed. Now, we didn't get off the bus well, and we really talked about it. We stopped at Meade on the way out, stretched our legs a little bit, got out, walked around. We were actually going to go walk through in the park a little more and get out because we were early. But they said one of our buses, if it idles for more than 20 minutes, we have big issues getting it restarted. So we're like, well, we better not do that. And
decisions made.
So we went on. We got to Hugoton early. Walked around, walked the field. Our kids always do that. I think it's a mindset thing, and I think I like actually getting to away games that are longer, a little earlier, so that way they can get in the locker room and walk around and move and get some sense of normalcy instead of getting right off the bus and then dressing and going out. I think sometimes when you get out and move a little bit, start listening to music for a while, whatever, you get some of that lactic acid out. Yeah, you get some of that sluggishness, so to speak, out of your system, and you start becoming normal, because it's not normal sitting on a bus.
Yeah.
Right. Now, do you feel like in another road game, you've played in 2 homecoming games now on the road, and now this will be, I believe, a senior night for Holcomb. Now, you've played in a big game here against Cheney, and that was your homecoming. So do you think the team's ready to play in another big crowd, big environment type of game where there's obviously a lot on the line in terms of district play, as well as it's senior night? They're going to be pretty fired up.
Yeah, and, I thought, obviously the Cheney crowd here was amazing. It was huge. I thought Hugoton, if you looked over at their stands, they had a ton of people there the other night. That was a big crowd for them. I think our kids now have embraced that. I think we keep preaching to them. We talked about you've earned this. You deserve this moment. It's a big game, and you shouldn't be scared of them. You've earned the right to play in them. With our play, we've made it a big game because of how we played this season. So embrace that. Make that take your game to another level, give you a little extra energy, give you a little extra adrenaline. And so I think our kids will be ready to go. I think they learned a lot from the Cheney game, the atmosphere, how to handle it, how to handle your emotions, your nervousness, stuff like that. So I anticipate that we'll be ready to go Friday night.
Speaking of adrenaline and things like that, we saw some big hits in the booth. Who were the winners this week of the hit stick and the jerseys you hand out? Who was the winner of each of those?
Yeah, so hit stick of the week was Tay Wilson.
Freshman. Nice.
Came in at the end of the game, but you couldn't
That's
not
who
give
we
it to
picked.
Yeah, that's who we gave it to.
Yeah, I mean, that was you want to talk about a picture-perfect form tackle, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he pulled the guy's legs to him, pulled him off his feet, and drove him into the ground. We had some other good hits. Luis Orozco had a great one on a peel-back block, and we had some other good ones, but that was just a great hit all the way around. I mean,
that's who we picked, too.
So he was that. Enoch got our MVP of the game. I thought Enoch played a really good game running behind his pads, and I think he's doing a real good job of being patient and getting what he can and then finishing runs. He finishes runs pretty well. Our special teams player of the game was Fernando Fernandez. He's kind of done a good job for us this year, putting the ball where we asked him to. We asked him to move it around a lot on kickoffs, and he's done a really good job with that. And then our practice player of the week was Mason Melcher. He did a good job in practice and worked his tail off last week, so we thought he earned that.
Nice. All right, now heading into this week, we got Holcomb coming up, 4-2, another long road trip out there. They've got wins over Cimarron, Southwestern Heights, Nickerson, and Larned, with losses to Scott City and our common opponent, Cheney. Coming really a close game on paper, that Cheney game, 25-14, but the more you kind of dig into it and talk to people, sounds like Cheney might have had an off night, a lot of turnovers. So I don't know how much stock you can put into that score.
I wish we'd have got the vote that we got for that game, for our game. He was off. I mean, he missed, I think I counted 4 times on wheel routes where they had a receiver 5 yards or more behind the defense, and he missed them. And that's not normally him. They had 5 turnovers, 2 of them inside the 5, another one inside the 20. So they were a little off, Cheney was, but part of that is Holcomb's athleticism. Holcomb's got some guys in the secondary, especially. The Levi Knoll kid, number 24, is probably pound for pound the hardest hitter I've seen in a long time. And
really?
I mean, he'll bring the wood. When he comes up on the run, and I anticipate they'll play him close and bring him on Friday. He comes up. He may miss a tackle occasionally because he's coming so hard, but he really comes up on the run. And fills really well. He's a really good football player, and he runs the same way offensively. They have a stable of backs that can do damage.
Looks like they're all named Johnson. Are they all brothers?
Yeah, right.
Well, cousins, or what's the story with?
I think there's cousins there.
Okay, it looks like that quarterback, 6'2" senior Caden Johnson,
the running back Colby. Yeah, I think the dads are brothers, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
Coach Strong would know that. He knows all those guys. But yeah, I mean, he's second in 3A behind both in passing. They want to get the ball out to their targets. He does a good job of making reads, getting the ball out quick. And when they run downhill hard. They're a little smaller than us up front, which doesn't happen a ton for us, but overall they're a little smaller. So I think we got to take advantage of that. And like I said, you guys know, I preach it all the time. Physicality is where it starts, and we got to get off the ball and we got to wear them down physically. And I think when you're bigger, that's especially important to wear down smaller opponents because you have to work a little hard when people are bigger than you. So I think that's what we're going to try to do is come downhill, hopefully out physical them and then hopefully open up some play action off of that.
You mentioned some of the hard hitters that Holcomb has. So how does your offensive line that has gelled really well together all season, how do you kind of scheme saying, okay, these are some guys that we have to kind of key in on some of these blocks? How do you kind of go about that?
Well, I mean, everything's schemed in terms of, so we count everybody. We have a counting system, and they know, according to the counting system before the snap, who they're supposed to go to, who their assignment is. What we talked about, they're really aggressive. They're linebackers. That we've talked about all week. You've got to hit them. You've got to know where the play is going to go in the aiming point. So you got to hit them where they're going to go, not where they are pre-snap, because they're going to move. They're not standing there reading very long. They may make a mistake. They may run into a play, but they're going to pull the trigger. They're super aggressive, and they blitz a lot too. They play a lot of line games up front. So I think for us, it's just being solid, remembering your rules, and then making sure you take a good angle to a cutoff point. And because that blitzing can be really dangerous against this offense, because if you blitz the wrong way or we get you and there's an opening, we're going to chunk you pretty good, and we're going to be in the secondary before you know it. And I like the matchup of our backs against secondary guys all night long if we can get it.
Yeah. Lay out the scenario for us going forward in districts and playoffs. I know you don't like to look too much beyond one game, but there's just so many, 1 versus 2 seed from the north, and win here would match up against Heston. Is that right?
Probably. I mean, the way it plays out, it would probably be them. Most likely, I think Clearwater may have something to say about that.
So it's still a little bit to be determined based on
I would guess that Heston's going to beat them. We are cross-match. You're cross-match with another district. And fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it for us, the cross-matching district is the one with Annandale, Wichita Collegiate, Heston, Halstead, Clearwater, and Wichita Trinity. That's the one we're cross-matched with. So top 4 make the playoffs. The other 2, just play a cross-district game with,
nothing on the line.
5, 6, 6, and you're done. Then the other 4 play in the playoffs. So what's really important about this game is the top 2 teams in the district get home games. So if we beat Holcomb on Friday night, we're going to have a home game first round of the playoffs, and so that's really important to me. I think to our kids, the community. Obviously, you want to play a home playoff game. Obviously, you play a worse team. If you lose, you're at the risk of playing a Collegiate or Annandale first round.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's at stake. We know it's going to be tough no matter what. I mean, even playing Heston again, they're really, really good. But we'll see when we get there. Obviously, we're focused on Friday night. That's kind of the scenario, because you cross district for the first 2 rounds with that other district, and then after the first 2 rounds, you don't see them until semifinals. But you cross district for the first 2 rounds. Is
there any this late into the season and getting close to some of those matches? Do you spend any time kind of multi-game planning? Do you dedicate 30 minutes a night or an hour a night saying, boy, we could face these guys coming up, I'm going to watch a little bit of film just in case, or do you just keep that 1 week mentality?
I'm a junkie type where I just may see but I won't really scout. I just kind of watch just because I enjoy seeing what they're at. The big preparation, I think, is knowing the possibilities you got and then getting as much film as you can. Getting film from, because you're supposed to trade the last 2. Most people do that. But then the important part is trying to get some of those other films, especially for us. I want to get films of they play of teams that are physical, get downhill, play with the tight end, so I can at least somewhat see how they line up. We're never going to know exactly, but at least we can have a pretty good idea of how they're going to line up. And I think that's what I try to do, is get as many films as possible. And if we don't end up playing that team, then we'll get rid of them. But if we do end up playing that team, that way we're prepared, ready to go.
Well, I think we're ready for them.
I'm very excited.
I hope we're going to try. We're going to give it our best shot.
Speaking of excitement, our favorite section of the segment of the show, the trivia. I promise it's nothing roasting. This is just a straight up trivia question. I know people get excited for this.
He had a T-shirt on tonight, so I was afraid you were going to pull it off.
I don't have my chest painted underneath. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
That would be awesome.
I don't know who that'd be awesome for.
Going to talk about Austin's fear of storms last night.
Oh.
He did come running on my porch about 12:30. Yeah,
that was unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, poor Austin.
Now
you're gonna get some questions.
So I went to Joplin like immediately after that tornado, and I think that did something.
Oh man, that's crazy.
There was a tornado in Eudora 2 years ago too. So
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So
that make you a little gun shy.
Yeah.
If I am,
I get that.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. The favorite music of everybody. It's time for How Well Do You Know Your Greenbacks?
Greenbacks.
The best part.
I think it's just singing every time.
All right, Coach, when you were with Linden, you coached in the 2017 Shrine Bowl. Do you know how many players representing Pratt have played in the Shrine Bowl?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say 11.
Pretty close. 13 is the answer.
I almost went with that. I knew it was somewhere around there because I'd counted them before, but I couldn't quite remember.
Now, there have been more nominated. I know there have been a couple that had to turn it down based on college commitments, but actually played in the game. Pratt has had 13 Shrine Bowl players, so interesting tidbit.
That is an interesting tidbit. I was trying to think how many I've had in my coaching career.
How do you know off the top of your head?
I'd have to think. I think I've had 10.
Wow.
10.
Is that all from Linden or is that from Piper too?
No. When I was a defensive coordinator, actually, in my 8 years as a defensive coordinator, seven of those, one of my linebackers went to I was a linebackers coach. 7 of those 8, one of my linebackers went to the Shrine Bowl. We had a good run of linebackers. I was very blessed in Chanute. The year it didn't, we only had juniors and sophomore linebackers. We didn't have any seniors. And then at Lewisburg, had a linebacker go to the Shrine Bowl. Mm-hmm. And then so that's what, 8, so 10. Yeah, and then I had a couple kids at Linden. 3 kids at Linden, so yeah, 11.
Great.
So I had 3 kids at Linden, and they were a D lineman. You know, obviously they played both ways, D and O lineman, a quarterback / defensive back, and then the Swinehart kid was kind of the second Swinehart. Both of them went to the Shrine Bowl. Second one played everywhere. You know, his senior year, I think he had like 1,400 yards rushing, 800 some receiving, and like 400 passing. So he kind of did everything. So I don't know what position, but he was kind of everywhere.
Okay, cool.
Hey, before we go, an update. Got some new equipment in this week in the weight room.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that.
That's awesome. You know, obviously, you know, we've talked repeatedly about how our community's second to none. In terms of generosity, you know, we kind of started this campaign talking to some people last year, and we were fortunate enough. We just got in this week 10 brand new Pro Maxima racks, you know, top of the line. They have our logo, you know, greenbacks is etched into the sides of them. All kinds of features, new stuff. You know, some of our kids, we did landmine squats.
Ryan told me that. She's like, we got stuff to do landmines.
Kids loved it. They thought that was awesome. You know, it was really cool. We're really excited. I mean, it looks great. We're almost, you know, we got just a few more finishing touches to put on the weight room project, but it looks awesome. You know, kids were excited, jacked up, you know, when they walked in there. So really, really cool stuff. Yeah.
If you want to, I could probably figure out how to put a link, your Venmo link or something for the Booster Club for anybody that, you know, still wants to help contribute to any of that.
Yeah, we're still looking.
I'll try to start including that in the videos is the link to how people can pay online or make donations online.
We're still,
doesn't hurt to put it in there if anybody out there watching didn't know about any of these opportunities. And we'll throw it in there. So
every little bit helps. You know, the one thing we're still, I think we've got everything covered, but one thing we're still trying to do is, you know, do the turf project and the wrestling room. And, you know, there's always little stuff like I didn't order, you know, new clips and wrist straps and little stuff like that adds up after a while. You know, obviously sleds and stuff like that. If we got the turf, you know, that's the next goal. So any little thing, but no, I mean, this community is amazing, generous, and it's pretty cool what we have now. You know, our kids they know they're lifting in a weight room that's second to none in all of Kansas. I mean, our equipment is awesome.
Well, it's paying off. The culture we got going is pretty good. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens Friday night out at Holcomb. So thanks for joining me, guys. Everybody tune in to 1290, and me and Austin will be calling the game. We'll do it again next week, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you.